competition. And finally, your ability to plan and structure a task or training day.
So take the time in that white space. Okay, you have control over your effort level. You have control over your response to the situation. I'm not saying it's easy, ladies and gentlemen, but you do have control over that. You have control over your motivation. You have control over getting a good night's sleep. You have control, every single one of you guys should have a water bottle here. Because if you're 1% dehydrated, you lose 25% of your eye-hand coordination.
Actually?
Actually,
Oh, I'm probably born.
why do you think I have this? Because if I'm not hydrated, I don't think clearly. I don't make good decisions. I have control over screen time. If you're playing Xbox and you're playing Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, it's the worst thing for your brain.
Oh,
It's
put
the
your brain
worst.
in a certain state. I should delete Snapchat. Put your brain in a certain state that's not good. I don't even
Right. Hey, listen. Say it again, I couldn't hear you because guys were talking.
It puts your brain in a state where you can't process things
That's right.
correctly.
Now, what's going to allow you, if you're sitting there doing this on your phone, you're fatiguing your eye muscles. And now when you go to try to see the eye surface, you can't do it because your eye muscles are all tired. One of the things that we didn't write down there, we have no control over wins and losses. My final year in junior, I played 60 games as starting goalie. I won 5 and I lost 55. And I got a full scholarship. I have no control over winning or losing. Because you guys could have an outstanding, hold up. You could have an unbelievable game. Absolutely play unbelievable guys. Okay? And the guy opposition player goes in to rim the puck around the boards, takes a crazy bounce off the glass, and ricochets and goes in the net and they win 1-0. And here's my question for you guys. Did you guys do anything wrong?
No.
So this is why, listen really carefully, we do not want to base our confidence on outcome. So whenever I ask a guy, on whether it's a team or it's an individual, how did it go last weekend? I am not asking if you won or lost. If you're a forward, I'm not asking how many points he put up on the board. Because what I'm going to say is you could actually have a phenomenal game, be really good on the defensive side of the puck. You may not score a point that night and had a great game. You could actually score a hat trick and you may have not played very well. As goofy as I've had games where I won 4-0, got a shutout, and I got lucky. I didn't actually play that well. And then I've had games where I lost 5-1 and I played really well. I battled, I competed. So does this make sense, guys?
Yes.
Do we have, when they say focus, do we have control over our flashlight?
Yes.
Right? So we have control over that.
So when you're like on this really like the last level of your game and you really want to play it, but your parents say it's time to go to the game and all you're going to be focusing on how you'll beat the game. And what do you think that's going to be the level and stuff like that, and you're not going to be focusing on the game?
On game day, I don't, any of the teams that I work with, they have no screen time on game day. No screen time.
What if it's like before?
No screen time. Because you're fatiguing your eye muscles. That's like, are you gonna do a big workout before you go play?
No.
No, because what you're doing when you're doing screen time, Xbox, PlayStation, all of that, you are literally making yourself more vulnerable to a concussion. You're making your eyes and your brain, like you said, working at a slower speed. Okay, just watching time.
The second set of examples are all examples of things that are outside your control. So these can include past and future events, the weather, competition and race conditions, so for example field or track, the opponents that you're up against, the officials that may be at the competition, and finally any spectators that are in the audience. All these are factors that are outside of your control and these you should really try and not focus on. now I'm going to go through a really simple practical exercise, which is going to help you to
Where's your
identify
flashlight?
the factors that are in
Just
and
watching
out
you
of your
guys, you should
control.
be writing all this down.
So first I want you to draw a circle on a piece of paper. Then I want you to take a moment to think about the following. What parts of being an athlete do you have complete control over? For example, the effort you put into training, or your response to a situation. Secondly, I want you to consider what may occur during training or a competition that you cannot control. For example, an official's call, or maybe some fans in the audience. I want you to write down these aspects in your diagram. So the items that you can control go in a circle, and all the other elements that you cannot control go outside the circle.
Oh, we already did this.
Right. But there's still a bunch more that you guys can
So
write
as you
down.
can see, all of those things that you identify that you can control goes in this circle under the title controllable. And then anything else that you feel like you can't control goes in the other space under the title uncontrollable. And when you complete this activity, you really will get an understanding of how many things are outside of your control in sport. And it's really important to focus in on those couple of things that you feel like are in control within your sport. So my 2 key tips to help practice focusing on what you can control include identifying a go-to controllable element in your sport, such as a technical cue. For example, strong start, stick to the game plan, or anything that is relatable to you and your sport. I want you to
Do you have control over moving your feet?
Yep.
Right. So when I start seeing penalties, it's often because guys have stopped moving their feet. That's right.
If you're
Taking
tired, get off the ice and don't make pen.
Right.
If you're more
But
tired,
that's not your call.
if you don't get off the bench and you're tired, that increases your chance of getting a pen.
Correct. Right? So you have control over your ice time. There's a great one to write down. Right? You have control over what you do before a game. Good water, good food, good sleep, minimizing screen time. Now, let's say you guys do all of that. Okay, say you get a good night's sleep, you're getting your screen time down, you're drinking more water. Does that mean you're gonna win the game? No. But what's gonna happen to the probability of that happening?
It's gonna go higher.
It's gonna go higher, and that's, I wish I could tell you, okay, like a lot of the teams that I've worked with, we've won national championships. But I can't guarantee, it's the same thing, I can't tell Carter Hart or Stuart Skinner you're gonna be a National Hockey League goalie. But if you're going downstairs in the basement doing your concentration grades, if you're a forward, you're in your garage doing Connor Bedard or Connor McDavid stick handling drills and shooting drills. Now, because you're getting the puck off faster and you're making more accurate shots, what's probably gonna happen to the goalie? Probably gonna get scored on. So we have control over that. So all I can tell you is that if I focus on the things that I have control over, it gives me the best chance to get the outcome. Doesn't mean I'm gonna get it, but over time, right, if you're gonna build up your legs, do you build your legs up overnight, or does it take months? Right? So again, at the end of the season, when I played junior, we were losing 9-1, 8-1, 7-1. By the end of the season, I was losing 3-1. Still losing, but you see what the difference was?
Got better.
Right, I got better. And how did I get better? Watching game film, working on my skating, working on my technique, working on learning how to be more in the moment, working on learning how not to let things, right? I have no control over my teammates' behavior, right? But I do have control over having my head on a swivel and talking. And I gotta always bring it back to the things that I can directly influence. Does that make sense, guys? I'm not saying it's easy, okay?
Teach this cue to yourself as often as possible. And then my second tip is to pick something in your sport that's in your control. And I want you to use this to shift your focus when you notice yourself thinking about something that's uncontrollable or out of your control.
Where's my flashlight? Where's my flashlight? Now,
Thank you so much for listening, everyone, to
we're gonna
this
do
clip.
one more,
I hope
okay? And this is something, those questions that are down there, okay? underneath the stop sign. And it says there, how am I gonna start to take charge of the things that I have control over? And I want you to see if you can come up with some answers.
Welcome from Park City, Utah, where I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. This is Sandra Hankoff, High Performance Coach, and I'm here to help you master your mindset so you can live a life of genius. And today we're talking about a top trait of high performers, and that they control the controllables. Now, have you ever heard people say, "Oh, it's so hot today. This totally sucks." Or, "My coach doesn't play me and doesn't like me." Or, my boss is so annoying. Or have you ever saw people at work kind of standing around in the break room or around the water cooler complaining about what a colleague did or didn't do? Now, high performers in business, sports, and life, they don't waste their energy focusing on negative things that they can't control. Instead, they focus on what they can control. Now, this is fundamental to peak performance and high performance. Fundamental. And it's a simple concept, but honestly, it's difficult to master every single day. So you kind of think about it like a circle. Right here, where you have all the things around the circle that you cannot control, like the weather, like your boss, like your coach, like your teammates, like your colleagues, like your family members. And then you have things, or you can't actually control like what people say or what people think, or people's actions or behaviors. And then the inside of the circle is what you can control. Now we know that when people focus on what they can control, they're typically at their best. And when they focus on things that they can't control, they have poor performance or not high performance. So what can you control? The way that I think about
Write this down.
what you can control is by the acronym AIM. And I even use this really fun action to remember AIM, which is this. So you can control your attitude. You're just the A. But your attitude is really what it comes down to is your self-talk and your focus. Are you talking and saying things to yourself that are helpful? Are you focused on things that you know will help you in the long run? The P is your preparation. Now there are only 86,400 seconds in a day. So are you using your 86,400 seconds in a way that helps you, prepares you for your future, prepares you to go after your dreams, and allows you to really go after what you want? And then the last part of what you can control is your E, your effort. Now we know in general that it takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to allow someone to become an expert at anything that they do, right? 10,000 hours. So those experts aren't just walking through the motions or going through the motions. Instead, it's deliberate effort. So my question for you is, are you using your effort in a way that's really going to allow you to go after what you want? Are you just kind of going through the motions? Are you full in, checked in to your day? So I have a great example of controlling controllables. 3 years ago, I ran the Boston Marathon. I had trained for this race for about 4 months. I was so looking forward to it. It was my second Boston Marathon and I couldn't wait. And the day before the race, we were in Boston. We kept on getting these messages from the race directors. And they were preparing us for the heat the next day. It's going to be over 90 degrees. Very difficult to run in. And it felt like we were getting messages from the race director literally like every half hour. I'm sure you are has been for a while. And the whole day before the race, we were all focused on the weather, how hot it was going to be. We were complaining about the weather. And that night, on the way home to our hotel, I had this aha moment. And I realized that all day I had been wasting all this negative energy on things I couldn't control, the weather. And so that night, I wrote a race plan. So I could have a good plan to deal with the heat. I was ready, I was focused, and that race was unbelievable. I actually ran my fastest time in 90-degree heat because I was ready. And I kept my body cool the whole time. 2 glasses of water over my head, every water stop, and a glass of Gatorade in my body. So I was soaked by the end, soaking wet. But I had an incredible time, and I think I got something like 82nd in the race for women. Pretty cool for the Boston Marathon. that you're focusing on things you couldn't control, just like, it took me a whole day to realize that. But the key was that I noticed it and then I corrected my attitude, my preparation, and my effort. Your aim. So today, when you see yourself worked up or bothered by things you can't control, like another person's actions, or what someone said or didn't say, work to control the controllables, work to dominate your attitude, your preparation, and your effort.
So I'll finish. So I'm watching your body language. You haven't filled out anything. If I'm the head coach of this team, you're immediately suspended. Does he have control over writing down?
Yes. Yes.
By him not doing it, what's he demonstrating to me?
He's not being respectful.
Not interested. You have a guy, and I'm not trying to. But
That's not always true. I have a disability.
I
That's
know.
not fair.
No, I know. No, I'm saying, but you have a choice to write it down, right? And I'm not trying to, because I had ADHD.
Me too.
I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Me too.
Okay, and so for me, do I have control over directing my focus? I'm not saying it's easy, okay, because it's hard. I have to work on controlling my focus, right? I get it, I really do get it, okay, because it was hard. But you know what I did? When I lost my focus, guess what I had to do with my flashlight? Bring it back. Doesn't matter how many times I lose my focus? No. So in an hour, you had an hour, what's that in a hockey game? Right, we got to focus for 60 minutes. How do we train it? How do we get good at it? Practicing. Oh, my mind wandered, bring it back. Mind wandered, bring it back. Mind wandered, bring it back. That's what I started using my classroom, believe it or not. Every time my flashlight drifted, right, bring it back. It's hard, right? But if you keep doing it, what eventually will happen? Get easier. Okay, now I'll watch you put your head down. Now, if you put your head down on the bench during the game, and the coach looks down and sees your head down, do you have control over your body language?
Yes. Yes.
You guys write that down, control over your body language? Okay, so I believe you have control over your body language, believe you have control over your focus, and you have control over your self-talk, what you say to yourself.
How do you spell language?
Language. And that took me a long time to learn how to spell, but I worked on it. So, when I watched you guys tonight, okay, for me as a coach, and again, I didn't even get you upset, big guy, okay? But one of the things I'm looking for is I'm sitting back and I'm watching who's looking up here, who's paying attention to the screen, because I want guys who want to get better. I want guys who want to get better. I'm not saying it's easy, but every time, that's the whole thing. Well, I lost my focus, lost my flashlight. What did she say? We got to recognize that. Oh, my flashlight's on the wrong thing at the wrong time. Right? It's the first, that's why I want you to do the uncontrollables. We got to know what our triggers are. And then once we know them, we can hit the reset button and bring it back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You guys did an amazing job today. You did over an hour. I loved how you controlled your focus. I loved how you guys spoke to each other. I love how you guys work together. You guys work together as a team.
It felt like 10 minutes.
And see, that's interesting.
Can you take this one?
Absolutely, okay? And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me, and I'll make sure we send the videos so you can get a chance to watch it. Okay? Great job, guys. You guys give a round of applause. That was good. Super good.
I got a quick question. So how do you guys think you could practice this attention? Good. No, in your life, you can do this in hockey. Where else could you try this? How are you going to practice this?
At home.
Well, how about school?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of ways you guys can practice, right?
Good job, guys.
We did the